Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to another episode of Kingdoms. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a great day. The world looks probably a little bit different right now. I record all of my videos a day or two in advance, for the most part. And today is actually April 1st for me, and Mojang has done this as their April Fool's Day prank. So they've changed all the textures in Minecraft to this 8-bit style. Unfortunately, we're playing in snapshots, and texture packs were changed very significantly between versions, between 1.12 and now the snapshots. So my texture pack works if I put it on. The one that I've made myself and updated for the snapshots. You can see some of these textures look the way we would want them to, for example, look at the logs. Logs look totally fine. The tower, the granite there, looks totally fine. But in my texture pack, I do not have every single texture in the game. Basically, there's a lot of textures that my texture pack just doesn't change. And all it does is it just leaves them alone. So any of these textures that are not replaced... Oh, I just realized that they did it for the stripped, for the new blocks as well. Ah, cool. Anyway, any of the textures that it doesn't change are just left out of the texture pack entirely. And so the only way that I'd be able to actually get the normal textures back is to either try and find a copy of the default 1.13 textures, which I looked for a little while but didn't really find anything, and basically install that as a texture pack, or overlay a different texture pack, which I also haven't had any real luck with. So, as a result, I think we're going to do something a little bit different for today's Kingdoms episode, instead of this, because if I'm being entirely honest, I kind of like these new textures that they released as their April Fool's Day prank. Not for this world, not for Minecraft in general. I'm not saying that they should make this a permanent change or anything like that, but I can see some possibilities. I have some ideas of things where you could use these textures in a really cool way to get a really kind of cool, immersive sort of effect. So we're going to kind of explore that a little bit. We're going to look around and just kind of see some of the textures at work. We're going to spend some time in a creative world today, looking at some of the possible uses of these new textures. And we're also going to talk about yesterday, because yesterday, which for you, which for me is actually still today, I had 4 videos come out that were all essentially parodies. They were all satire. And I have to admit, I had so much fun. I had so much fun with those videos. Oh man, it was great. But anyway, so, some of this kind of stuff, like this, it's not a good look, right? This is, I believe, let's see. Yeah, that's spruce. This is oak. So oak is pink in this. That's a strange color choice, but this 8-bit graphic style, I can think of some uses for it, for sure. I could think of some really cool mod pack ideas, or custom maps, adventure map type stuff. I could see some really cool ways to use this. So let's jump into a creative world here, and we'll just kind of try some stuff out. Let's just go into our regular old creative testing world. This would be fine. And let's just kind of think about a couple things here. We'll play without the texture pack for today. It'll be a little bit of an abnormal episode, but as I said, I need to record all my videos a day or two in advance so that I can actually maintain a schedule. And, well, I'm kind of stuck with these textures for the day. So, if you're not a fan of that, blame Mojang for not adding an option to disable these easily. Anyway, so here's what I'm thinking, right? These textures remind me, they're basically 8-bit textures. And I grew up in essentially the 8-bit era of gaming, right? I grew up on games like Doom and Dark Forces and, all the old NES games, Super Nintendo, all that kind of stuff. I grew up in the era of gaming where these would actually be like totally normal. Like you wouldn't look at these and go, what have they done? You would look at these and go, huh, that's pretty, that actually kind of looks like what it's supposed to. So what I'm thinking is, imagine if they did, say for example, you were like a Minecraft map maker, right? And that, like, you make Minecraft maps. That's your thing. That's your jam, right? You could make a really cool, immersive, like 8-bit retro game map. You could totally make like Doom in Minecraft, or recreate scenes from any older game, right? And here it looks a little weird, but like let's find something that would be a decent wall texture. Like we could go, let's go with the stone brick here. And let's just kind of build this up like 3 high, right? We'll just kind of do something like this. And with these textures, like, I think it could be really cool. Or like another example would be, well, we'll talk about that example in a little bit. We're not going to go there just yet. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I need to think before I speak. So, let's kind of get this build up. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about yesterday's videos, because I had so much fun making yesterday's videos. Oh man. So basically yesterday I released 4 videos, all of which were part of my April Fool's Day plan, right? And they were basically satirical parody videos of just like kind of YouTuber stereotypes, I guess you would say. And I have to say, the general response was just wonderful. Most people absolutely thought they were genius and hilarious and funny, and it was really good. It was really good. Most people thought it was. I got a lot of comments from people saying like this was the best April Fools that I've seen out of all of them, and all that kind of stuff. And that was really cool. That was really cool. I'm glad you guys enjoyed them. But some people, of course, anytime you're talking about kind of more nuanced humor, there's going to be some people who just don't get it. They just don't really understand it. And that's totally fine. I knew that was going to happen. I knew there'd be some people who just wouldn't understand. And some people just don't really find satire and parody to be that funny, to be honest. And that's okay too. Everyone has different styles of humor that they like. Personally, when it comes to things that I find funny, I probably find satire and parody to be like essentially the highest form of humor for me. That's really what I think is the funniest of all the different styles of humor, and I like it a lot. But here, this is an example of this, a room like this, right? Something like this, doesn't that give you that old like DOS-based first-person shooter kind of vibe? That old like Doom, Dark Forces, Heretic, somewhere in there. Those are probably a lot of games that a number of the people in my audience aren't even gonna know. Like they won't even know what those are, except for there was a Doom game that came out a couple years ago that was in 3D. But a lot of people won't really remember this. I grew up on these games though. And like you could create a really cool adventure map doing something like this, and it would be really immersive and really cool. I think that's totally a valid use for these new textures. I think that would be awesome. Another one, how about, Pixelmon is a thing in Minecraft, right? How about using textures like this for a Pixelmon map? Making, like a recreation of the old early Pokemon games in Minecraft using these textures. It would totally work. You could do, oh man, I'm gonna just kind of struggle to do this off the top of my head, but maybe we can, snow blocks might work actually. Yeah, maybe we can make like a Poke Center, right? So you do something like this, just as an example. Let's go, out there. Yeah, that seems good. But there's so many different options when you look at like retro games. and basically trying to recreate those or become inspired by those in Minecraft. I think these textures totally lend themselves to that. I think that would be a really cool way to do something with this. Now, as for a pokey center roof, it's gonna be a little more difficult. Is there no red wool? White, orange, magenta. There's only 8. I didn't even notice that. I did not even notice that. Oh man. Anyway, so we'll forget that. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many things we could do with this. Let's kind of build on this sort of idea here of like a Doom style map. Well, we're kind of talking about parody and satire and everything like that. So yeah, I personally find parody and satire to be kind of the highest form of humor. That's probably what I find funniest. If I'm browsing the internet looking for a good laugh, odds are I'm looking at something that's sarcastic and satirical. And for those of you who might be younger and might not know what satire is or what parody is, it's essentially when you mimic something, right? You imitate something, but you do it in such a way that you are essentially making fun of it. You're making it, you're taking it to like a level of absurdity where it's just completely where it becomes ridiculous. That's basically what you're doing. So like, obviously on YouTube there are some very kind of hyper YouTubers out there, and that's okay. There are some very high energy YouTubers, and I personally don't have anything against those people at all. But in the videos yesterday, I took that idea and I like turned it up to a level of just absolute absurdity. Same with basically what I did for those videos yesterday is I took a lot of the things that are either stereotypes about YouTubers or just things that I see on YouTube in videos that personally kind of like annoy me. And then I essentially said, okay, let's do that, but let's do it even more. Let's do it so much that it's just ridiculous. And then, that's how we ended up with yesterday's videos. And I had a lot of fun making them. I tried to find... there's so many like little details in there that you probably didn't even notice if you only watched the videos once. There's tons of just little stuff. This could actually be like a decent pipe texture. Maybe not that. We'll think something up here. Maybe... that still looks like... Oh, what about that? Yeah, you could do something like this, right? Just to kind of do whatever with it. Kind of make things a little bit more interesting. The idea here is that we're trying to find a way to do this where it looks like it would fit in like an old school first-person shooter or something like that. I think that could be really cool. Just taking this sort of idea and doing something nifty with it. But yeah, I mean, satire, as I said, it's all about taking things to a level of absurdity and, essentially doing it in such a way that you're making fun of whatever it is that you're copying, that you're imitating. So that's what I did, and I had a blast with it, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of the things in there, even like I ended up doing 4 videos, and the last one was like an apology video that was still a joke. The whole thing was a joke, but it wasn't quite as obvious that it was a joke with that one. But either way, it was a blast. I had so much fun. I have to admit, it took me a lot longer to make those videos than I thought it was going to. Like, I thought, well, these are the types of videos that I personally don't like and that I consider to be like not very good. And a lot of the things about them, like the obvious example is like that like super loud dubstep flashing intro that lasts like 15 seconds long, so that when you try to binge watch a playlist, you have to put up with it for 15 seconds at the beginning of every video. Yeah, those. I hate those. But the reason you see so many of those on YouTube are because they're templates. So you can just go online and you can find a template and, basically copy it, change the name, and there you go. You have an intro that's, generic and not very memorable, and you think it looks cool, but really it just annoys people. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go find some templates, piece of cake, we'll be done in like 5 minutes. No. I spent hours looking for templates, couldn't find one that I liked for whatever reason. There were a lot of them. There were some of them that I found, but that I ended up not using for a number of different reasons. Some of them had there was like a photosensitivity problem. There was too much flashing lights and stuff, and I know that there are some people in my audience who are photosensitive, and I think it would kind of have like killed the joke if I put a photosensitivity warning at the beginning of the video. So I was like, I need one that isn't like a strobe light. Like, that's not going to work for me. So I had to basically not use a few different intros because of that. And then some of them just weren't cringy enough, because I wanted one that was like very super generic and cringy, like the most generic, stereotypical Minecraft YouTuber intro that you can think of. And I couldn't really find one. I found a couple, but like, I don't know. Ultimately, I ended up making them. I made all the intros myself, and it took me like hours and hours and hours. I spent the majority of my time on those 4 videos making the stupid intros at the beginning of them, except for the second one. The second one was actually made by a friend of mine who actually went to school for that stuff, and I asked her if she had any ideas, because I'm not really super familiar with After Effects. Like, it's not a program that I use very often. So I asked her if she knew anything about it, and she offered to make one for me. And I told her I wanted it to be like as cringy as possible. I'm like, make the worst possible intro that you can make. And she was like, okay, I can do that. So that the intro in the second video was made by a friend. But regardless, I spent more time working on the intros than I did the videos. But I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I had an absolute blast with it. April Fool's is kind of one of the few times when I can do something that's just like totally out there. I can get away with making content that is completely outside the normal spectrum of the type of content that I normally make. And I can kind of I can experiment and do things that are weird or bad. Like, I can make things bad intentionally, and nobody's like, oh, why would you do this? It's just part of the joke. It's part of the fun. So like, I always enjoy April Fools. I like doing kind of bizarre, strange things and having fun with it. So I had a blast yesterday. It was awesome. It was a great time. I even got into it on Twitter, changed my name on Twitter for the day to Welsknight Gaming instead, because why not? I don't know. It was fun, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it too. But for the most part, that's going to be one of those like until next year type of things, because only once a year do I do something that's like really out there. I don't mind doing a little one-off video here and there, but for the most part, like, yeah, I'm not really a comedy channel. That's not my thing. That's not what people come to my channel for. For the most part, most people don't get to see me kind of flex my troll muscles, I guess. I think someone in the comments yesterday said something along the lines of like, wow, Wells, I didn't know you had this much troll in you, or something like that. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I mean, that's not a side of myself that I show very often in videos, because I just don't really make the type of content that it makes sense to do that, So April Fool's is kind of one of the few times when I actually get to play around and get down with my troll self, I guess you would say. But that's done now. That's all done. We're done with April Fool's. It's all finished. And now we can, get back to regular videos if Bo Yang ever wants to actually fix my textures. Flower pots, are those a thing? They are indeed a thing. Okay, so we're gonna put a flower pot right here. I just kind of want to try and play around with these a little bit. This oak sapling looks unchanged. It's not unchanged. Okay, it's a little bit different, at least in the world. I think the sprite might be unchanged. But just kind of looking at this, you know, I mean, look at this. Like, this is a decent little kind of early 90s first-person something game. You know, could be a shooter, could be an adventure game of some sort. I mean, the motion is a little bit too fluid. Like, really, I'd have to move, like, one only in the cardinal directions for the most part, or have, like, really, I don't know. We'd have to do something weird with the motion. But, you know, I think this gives you that kind of vibe. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, you know, you get that feeling, you get that idea, that sort of atmosphere that you would have in an old game if you were to play an old game like that. And I think that's, you know, that's not all bad. I'm sure that they will release a download for this texture pack when it's all said and done, you know, once we're able to. But yeah, that's kind of the whole premise of it. But anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this one up here. I know it's a weird video. I know. This kind of threw my plans off for the day. So yeah, but we'll get back to properly working on the kingdom next episode. The FTB Pyramid Reborn video that's going to be out a couple hours after this one. That one should be normal because that one that's in 1.12, so I can just use a regular old texture pack like Faithful or something. But as I said, when they move to 113, all of the texture names and things changed, and it's very hard to find a working 113 texture pack unless you make it yourself, and my texture pack doesn't cover every block in the game. So yeah, let me grab a comment of the day real quick. I'll be back with you in just a sec. All right, guys, I am back. Check out this sunset. I love the little, the kind of aura around the sun in this. This is, anyway, I digress. Let's sleep, and let's jump into the comment of the day. Today's comment is from, apologize if I butchered this name, Fabian Dolch, who says, "Hey Wells, love the Kingdom series. Have you ever thought about making a Japanese or generally East Asian style kingdom, or what about something Indian, Middle Eastern, Egyptian?" So basically the answer is yes. For almost every type of historical culture or architecture that you can think of, I have probably thought about making a kingdom in that style. And it's also quite possible that I do actually intend to make a kingdom in that style. The problem is I can only work on one kingdom at a time. I can't have too many projects going on, because the thing is, I'm one of those people, like, I need to focus on one thing for the most part in a world. Otherwise, I just get, like, super sidetracked and nothing ever really gets done, and yeah. So I can only really work on one kingdom at a time. And I just haven't gotten around to a lot of them. Like, we will almost certainly have a Middle Eastern kingdom at some point, for sure. I know that I want to do one of those, maybe even as our next kingdom, but I'm not promising that. I know I definitely want to do a Japanese, like a feudal Japan-style kingdom at some point. You know, there's options. There's a lot of things that I want to do that I just haven't really got around to yet. But yes, in answer to your question, I have thought about it. And in many cases, of different types of kingdoms you might think of, I've probably thought that not only have I thought about it, I actually want to do it at some point. I just haven't actually gotten around to doing it yet. So, yeah, there you go. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's episode. I apologize for the weirdness of this one, but, you know, as I said, blame the way that my recording schedule has to work, and blame Mojang for not putting an option to disable the April Fool's Day textures. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Links in the description below, so check that out as well. Otherwise, my friends, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.